in the Federation? Okay, all right. So you just give me the cube, thanks. Just a sec, just a sec. Good afternoon, members of the media, and welcome to the presentation of the communique at the conclusion of the 110th meeting of the Monetary Council. I wish to welcome all members of the media here gathered in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and those who are joining us online from or virtually from around the currency union. With me this afternoon is the Chairman of the Monetary Council, Dr. Ellis Webster, Premier of Anguilla, who is the current Chairman of the Monetary Council. Dr. Webster is the Chairman of the Monetary Council. He's the Premier of Anguilla. To his immediate right is the Honorable Dennis Cornwall, Minister for Finance from Grenada. So that's the party. Yours truly, Timothy Antoine, Governor, Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. As is our custom, the Chairman will now deliver the communique at the conclusion of our meeting, after which we will be pleased to field your questions or comments. So with that, I am pleased to invite Dr. Webster, Premier of Anguilla and Chairman of the Monetary Council, to present the communique. Chairman?
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Minister, Council Member. It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon. And welcome to all media personnel here in the room and online. The 110th meeting of the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank was held today, Friday the 14th of February 2025, in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank building. Participants included myself, Dr. Ellis Webster, Premier Minister for Finance and of Anguilla and the Chairman, the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Antigua and Barbuda, the Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Finance, Commonwealth of Dominica, the Honorable Dennis Cornwall, Minister for Finance, Grenada, the Honorable Reuben Meade, Premier and Minister for Finance of Montserrat, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, and Christopher St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, St. Lucia, the Honorable Camilo Gonzalez, Minister for Finance, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The 110th meeting of the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, was held at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in St. Christopher, St. Kitts and Nevis on 14 February 2025. The Monetary Council welcomed back its newest member, Premier Reuben Meade of Montserrat. In terms of monetary stability, the Monetary Council received the Governor's report on monetary, credit, and financial conditions in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. The report, titled Seizing the Opportunities to Reposition the ECCU for Transformation, provided global and ECCU updates on monetary, credit, and financial conditions and assessed their potential impact in the near to medium term. The Governor's report indicated that A, The global economic environment is pregnant with uncertainty. B, amid easing inflation, global growth is projected to remain resilient, with the USA projected to grow around 2.7% and China projected to grow around 4.6%, according to the IMF's World Economic Outlook, January 2025. C, key downside risks for the global economy include renewed inflationary pressures influenced by factors such as protectionist measures, geopolitical issues, and climatic shocks. D, key downside risks for the currency union include policy shifts among major trading partners, volatility in citizen by investment program, the CBI/CIP revenues, and climatic shocks. E, key upside risks or opportunities for the ECCU, conducive credit conditions, timely implementation of major infrastructural projects in member countries, and financial sector reforms such as the ease of opening of bank accounts and rollout of the credit bureau. F, the ECCU's growth outlook for 2025 remains positive in the range of 3.5% to 4.5%, with tourism, post-hurricane barrel reconstruction, and investments in physical infrastructure expected to drive growth. Cognizant that bold reforms and timely passage of legislation are required for sustainable growth outcomes, the ECCB continues to support a stable and resilient financial sector and encourages the member governments to expedite the enactment of the relevant legislation. The EC currency remains strong. The backing ratio, also known as the ratio of foreign assets to demand liabilities, continues its upward trajectory and stood at 98.2% as at 7th February 2025. Reserves are 5.5 billion EC dollars as at the week ending 7 February 2025, up from $5.4 billion as at the 11th of October 2024. G, having considered the state of monetary, credit, and financial conditions in the ECCU, the Monetary Council, on the recommendation of the Governor, agreed to 1, maintain the minimum savings rate at 2.0%, and 2, maintain the discount rate at 3.0% for short-term credit and 4.5% for long-term credit. The minimum savings rate is the lowest rate that commercial banks can offer on savings deposits. The central bank's discount rate is the rate at which the ECCB lends to governments and commercial banks. Financial stability. The Monetary Council was advised of the following developments in the ECCU financial sector. A, banks are generally well capitalized. Deposits continue to grow, including from businesses. B, the ECCU banking system remains stable, with a high degree of liquidity estimated at 1.5 billion EC dollars at the end of December 2024. C, credit conditions have eased and competition is intense, thereby creating a favorable environment for borrowing, particularly for mortgages. D, Everydata ECCU Limited, the credit bureau operator, has signed agreements with 27 of the 32, that is 84% of the licensed financial institutions, LFIs, under the Banking Act in the ECCU. 11 have already gone live. Others are expected to follow in the upcoming months. 19 of 47, or 40% of credit unions, signed agreements. Public education is ongoing throughout the region. E, the Monetary Council noted the contents of the Financial Stability Report 2023, Part 2, and approved its publication. The report indicated that key risks to financial stability include cyber and climate. In support of financial stability, efforts addressing risks include 1, lowering credit risk by enhancing credit underwriting with the commencement of the Credit Bureau. 2, lowering the risk profile of CBI/CIP programs. The Interim Regulatory Commission, IRC, has selected Lydia Elliott, legal drafting consultant, to draft uniform legislation that would enable the establishment of a regional regulator for CIP/CBI in the ECCU. Stakeholders from government, the CIP/CBI industry, and social partners will be invited to share their views on the establishment of the regional CBI-CIP regulator in a series of in-country consultations commencing in March of 2025. Fiscal debt sustainability. The ECCU fiscal situation showed signs of improvement in 2024 to increased economic activity and stronger fiscal management. The Regional Government Securities Market, or the RGSM, continues to be a vital source of funding for member governments. An estimated 1.2 billion EC dollars was raised in 2024, a 9% increase over 2023. Growth and competitiveness. Growth in the ECCU continued to be propelled by tourism and domestic-related construction activity in 2024. This trend is expected to continue in 2025. Despite some improvements, there is still need for more regional action to address the high cost and inconvenience of intra-regional air connectivity. The current situation is a major constraint to trade and faster growth and is inimical to the big push. The Monetary Council, on the recommendation of the ECCB, approved an allocation of $25 million for a food and nutrition security program in the ECCU from ECCB's Fiscal Tranche 2 account. This funding will support the efforts of ECCU member countries as they strive to reduce the food import bill by 25%. Financial inclusion. The ECCB issued a circular in November 2024 encouraging all licensed financial institutions governed under the Banking Act of 2015 to make basic bank accounts available to their customers, effective the first day of December 2024. To date, all LFIs have implemented some aspect of simplified due diligence, SDD, in their policies and procedures to facilitate the ease and reduce the complexity of opening a bank account for customers. The ECCU banking industry is targeting a unified rollout of SDD and/or the basic bank account by April 2025. The Monetary Council strongly endorsed these actions and further committed to swift enactment of the amendments to the Banking Act, which include provision for the establishment of a basic bank account. Consultations with a broad range of stakeholders on the establishment of the Office of Financial Conduct and Inclusion, OFCI, and the Eastern Caribbean Financial Standards Board, ECFSB, have begun. These discussions, which are being held across the ECCU, commenced on 6 February 2025 in St. Kitts and Nevis and will run through to June 2025. The Monetary Council noted the update on the preparatory work towards procurement and deployment of a commercial-grade retail central bank digital currency solution, DCash 2.0. The DCash website, www.dcashec.com, was revamped, updated, and relaunched in November. The website will continue to play a key role in public outreach and education on digital finance and DCash. In respect of the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation, the Monetary Council noted that there were 147 guarantees approved across the ECCU as at January 2025 in support of small business access to credit. The value of loans guaranteed to date is 18.1 million EC dollars, and the value of the actual guarantees approved is 13.8 million EC dollars. Council agreed to hosting the handing over ceremony of the 111th meeting of the Monetary Council and to mark the change in the chairmanship on Thursday, the 17th of July, 2025 in Antigua. The 111th meeting of the Monetary Council will be convened the next day, Friday, 18 July, 2025, on the sister island of Barbuda. The Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance of Antigua and Barbuda, is due to assume chairmanship of the Council. That's the reading of the communique for the 110th meeting of the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, held today, 14th February 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman, Dr. Webster. Members of the media, you've heard the communique, and we are now pleased to open the mic, your mics, to receive your questions and comments.
Million to make sure that we can provide our country with very valuable meat. Chicken is one of our highest consumption in our populations, but we need to basically reduce the importation of, let's say, chicken, while we can build our hatcheries and our fall farms, as well as to continue the dialogue with our stakeholders to make sure that we can provide cheap and affordable feed to our farmers so that we can make this region a better place. I would like to end there.
Thank you, Minister. You know, the ECCB is the regulator for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, but you can see it also helps in areas of social development, also in economic development, and also in areas where we see our currency union and the member states need assistance to stimulate not only economy, but also to stimulate projects that will help us to meet some of the necessary areas as we move forward. So it just shows that the ECCB is not just a bank, not just a regulator, also is involved in social programs. Governor, I don't know how well people know about the, you know, the minimum savings rate, and you know, we have been able to keep that fairly steady, and so I don't know if you want to explain what those three parameters: the minimum saving rate at 2%, and then the discount rate at 3% for short-term credit, and the 4.5% for long-term credit. Maybe just to enlighten our listeners.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman. And again, good afternoon to members of the media and members of the public who are joining us for this media conference. So the minimum savings rate is the rate that you get your interest rate on your savings account. That rate is established by the Monetary Council. So at every council meeting, we review those rates and we put a recommendation before the council. So it's the minimum you can get on a savings account in the currency union is 2%. And that is one of the highest rates in the Caribbean. If it's not the highest, it's certainly one of the highest. I think Belize was at 2.25 at one point. I haven't checked recently to see where Belize is at, but all the other countries are under 1%. So that's something that small savers or any saver can continue to benefit from. So that's the minimum savings rate. And it can only be changed by the Monetary Council. And the last time that was changed from 3 to 2% was in 2013, I believe it was. Now, with respect to the discount rate, that refers to any loans made by the central bank to governments or banks. So I just want to be clear. The central bank does not make loans to businesses and individuals. The central bank, that's for commercial banks or for your credit unions. The central bank makes loans only to member governments, the 8 member governments if they need, or licensed financial institution. Any institution, mainly banks, but any financial institution that is licensed under the Banking Act. The current rate for short-term credit, which is credit of less than or up to 1 year, it is 3%. 3%. And for credit in excess of 1 year and up to 15 years, 15 years, which we call long-term credit, the rate is 4.5%. So what the Monetary Council did today is to maintain the discount rate at 3% for short-term and 4.5% for long-term. And at its next meeting in July, of course, we review that situation again. But that's the rate that banks and governments pay to the central bank if they borrow. The 2% minimum savings rate is what you get for your savings accounts.
Thank you, Governor. I don't see there any further questions from the media, but I just wanted to commend you, Governor, and your staff for the job that you're doing, you know, keeping the EC currency strong. And then the communique, we talk about the backing ratio, and that it's at 98.2%, and the reserves of 5.5 billion as of the 7th of February 2025. And this shows that the EC currency continues to remain strong in spite of the uncertainty that there is right now globally. We do commend you again and know that you will continue at the helm to make sure that the ECCB, looking out for the ECCU, continue to do this great work. I wish to thank you and thank you, Minister Cornwall, and thank the media for participating and knowing that we are here to keep you updated and to let you know how things are financially in the in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. On behalf of the members of the Monetary Council from each member territory, I want to thank you and thank Governor and staff of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Chairman.